While it's true that fat loss comes down to calories in versus calories out, there's a lot more to achieving your goal body than just counting calories. Because even though you technically could lose weight by eating straight junk food as long as you're in a calorie deficit, why would you? Getting into a calorie deficit with food that doesn't keep you full is a miserable way to lose weight. And even though your scale might go down at first, it'll shoot right back up as soon as your junk food diet isn't sustainable. And since you paid zero attention to food quality while losing weight, well, you're more likely to regain even more on the same amount of calories because all of that junk slowed down your metabolism. That's why it's so important to not only pay attention to the quantity of the food you eat, but also the quality. And that's where eating more protein comes in. Eating enough protein makes the fat loss process easier since protein is the most filling macro, it has the highest thermic effect of food, and it'll help you maintain more muscle during your diet, which means you won't regain everything back once you quit your diet. But that's another great thing about a high protein diet. You will love how you feel so much that there's no need to constantly fall off track. And as long as you're getting enough protein from high quality sources, you can still sneak in a few of your favorites even while losing fat. So let's talk about some of the best high protein foods you can add to your meal plan that makes the whole fat loss process easier. Now, before I get into the 10 high protein foods I eat daily to stick to my plan, first let's talk about what I don't eat. And that's anything from the sea. So even though foods like salmon and tuna are lovely sources of protein, you won't find any of those on this list. Mostly because I only talk about things that I experience firsthand. And the only experience I have with fish is sobbing like a little girl when a doctor told me that I had to eat seafood. I also can't eat a lot of dairy without turning into a big ball of snot. But that doesn't mean I avoid dairy completely because it is so good, it's kind of addictive, and it is really filling. So even though my nose gets runny after too much dairy, I still find ways to sneak things like Greek yogurt into my diet. My favorite is this Oikos 000 vanilla. A 3/4 cup serving is only 100 calories with 17 grams of protein. It makes a great side for a high protein sandwich, or it's even great by itself. When I want a sweet treat, I mix in crumbled graham crackers and top with strawberry jelly to make strawberry cheesecake protein yogurt. But since I do have dairy constraints, I mostly use Greek yogurt in recipes like these chocolate donut holes. Eating a few of these, which have 36 calories with 4 grams of protein per ball, thanks to the Greek yogurt and Equip protein powder combo, doesn't bother my sinuses too much. Now, if I could, I would eat Greek yogurt with pretty much every meal. So if anyone knows of a raw dairy version, help a girl out and let me know where to find it. That brings me to another high protein food that's great for weight loss, and that's cheese. When it comes to cheese, expert advice is all over the place. Some view cheese as too high in saturated fat, while others tell you to eat all of the cheese. I feel more satiated when I eat cheese than most other foods, which means I have cheese at least several times a day. But since I have problems with too much dairy, I mostly stick to raw cheddar. Whenever I make a sandwich or wrap, I add around ½ an ounce of cheese. Now, I'm only using ½ an ounce because I want to get the taste while cutting some of the calories. But I also add cheese to snacks like this homemade charcuterie board, or I have an ounce of cheese with a bag of Quavos, which makes a great high protein cheese and crackers type of snack. Lean meat like chicken is another easy way to get a lot of protein with less calories on a high protein diet. One perk to eating more chicken is it's been linked to higher levels of dopamine and norepinephrine, which are brain chemicals that increase motivation, concentration, and boost your mood. Here's my little chicken monster in action. I mean, at least he's active. But the trick to eating more chicken is prepping it ahead of time. That way you always have chicken that's ready to eat because nobody's taking time to cook a few ounces of chicken every time you get hungry. The easiest way to meal prep chicken is by making extra anytime you make chicken for dinner. Then you can add a few ounces into any meal that needs a protein boost, or just eat it by itself as a high protein snack. You could also buy rotisserie chicken if cooking's not your thing. But really, to find success with a high protein diet, maybe make cooking your thing. Because it's so much easier to make high protein meals at home than it is to figure out how to put together high protein meals while eating out. But if you absolutely despise cooking, lean lunch meats like boar's head turkey, chicken, or roast beef are an easy way to add more protein. Even if you don't mind cooking, I still use high quality lunch meat in all kinds of ways to boost protein, like in high protein sandwiches, wraps, as a side, or even by itself as a snack. The only thing I hate about eating so much deli meat is standing in line to get it sliced fresh. But if you watch this video, then you already know my secret to the laziest high protein meal prep ever. I'll link that video in the description in case you don't know the secret. Another great high protein food I eat often is ground beef. While I typically choose the 85-15, mostly because that's what Moinkbox delivers directly to my doorstep, you can get even more protein for less calories if you choose a leaner cut like 93%. And while it might not seem like that much of a difference, the 85% beef has 340 calories with 36.8 grams of protein per 5-ounce serving, while the 93% lean only has 272 calories with 38.3 grams of protein in the same amount. So that's a 68 calorie difference, plus you get 2 more grams of protein per 5 ounces. If you eat ground beef every day, that adds up to a calorie savings of 476 per week, which is half a pound of fat you could lose every month just by swapping cuts of beef. Either way, ground beef has tons of nutrients, it's ranked as one of the most filling foods per calorie, and it's easy to batch cook, which makes it a staple in my high protein diet. And even though I only eat this option once or twice each week, let's not forget about adding more steak into your high protein diet. Because if you grill a lean cut like sirloin, then you're getting 272 calories with 51 grams of protein. Plus, if you add a baked potato as a side, you will stay full for hours. Now, before any low carbers click off because I talked about adding a big old side of carbs, please understand that potatoes are ranked as the most filling food per calorie. As long as you don't add all of the extras to your baked potato, then it's a great choice as a filling side. I have baked potatoes a few times each week, opting for salt, sour cream, and chives. And I eat this entire meal every Sunday for only 600 calories with 57 grams of protein. The next high protein option on my list even surprised me, because when I first made this pizza breakfast bagel, I thought for sure I'd be hungry again an hour later. I mean, how long can these measly egg white thins keep me full anyway? Turns out, quite a long time. With only 25 calories and close to 5 grams of protein per 46 grams, egg whites are a filling way to hit your protein goal. While you can mix egg whites in with a few whole eggs to add more protein to breakfast, my favorite way to use egg whites is to prep them and then add to wraps and bagels, like my favorite pizza breakfast bagel. And not only is it my favorite, but when it's time to meal prep, I double the batch since my very picky eater loves these too. Helping him get 31 grams of protein first thing is a huge mom win, which means I prep a double batch every week. But as long as you use liners, it's easy enough to pour the egg whites in, season them, bake, and then store in the fridge for a quick high protein breakfast. Another great high protein food you can use as meal prep is protein powder. But you don't want to choose any protein powder, especially since a lot of them can leave you feeling gassy, bloated, stuck with a runny nose, or even hungrier than before you had it. After much trial and error, I've settled on Equip's Prime Protein Powder. Salted caramel is the best. While I love that it's a complete protein that comes from grass-fed beef, I really love that it doesn't leave me feeling bloated like other protein powders I've tried. And even though whey protein is filling, that leaves me with constant sinus inflammation, so I have to pass on that. Something else that's great about this brand is the sweetness is spot on, so I don't have to add any extra sweeteners to recipes. But the sweetener they use doesn't leave me feeling hungry like other artificially sweetened products do. While I typically only have protein shakes before an early morning workout, I still use protein powder daily in treats like protein donut holes and protein ice cream. And when I mix up this 2-ingredient protein ice cream, it tastes just like the real thing. Even my kids love it. Sorry kid, that's mine. It's a great way to boost my protein at the end of the day since I can eat this entire pint for 180 calories with 26 grams of protein. If you haven't tried this yet, you really need to. You can even save 15% on your first order when you use the code Nissa at checkout. Now, if you checked out a while back because I slipped in the word meal prep, ice cream and egg whites are pretty much the only thing I spend time prepping because I'm busy. I mean, I spent like 3 hours just writing writing this video. Then I have to record it, edit it, get my kids to film. Oh really, even stay-at-home moms who are aspiring YouTubers don't have the time to spend all day in the kitchen prepping food. But that's where these chicken strips come in handy. Well, I don't include a whole lot of fried chicken in my diet because it is surprisingly high in calories. These just bare chicken strips make an easy high protein meal in less than 20 minutes. They're processed. How dare you tell me to eat processed food? Well, I'm not forcing you to do anything, lady. This video is all about how I make my high protein diet easier. And heating up chicken that actually tastes good, plus it doesn't require hours of prep time, is a great way to make a high protein diet easy. So maybe let's be a little bit less judgy McJudgerson about what works for others. I mean, I don't judge how much processing goes into your turkey bacon that tastes like shoe rubber, do I? Does anyone else find themselves arguing with a magenta version of themselves? No, just me. Well, either way, I make this simple buffalo chicken wrap quite often for lunch, and with 35 grams of protein and 400 calories, it's a delicious, non-shoe rubber way to get closer to my protein goals. And even though that's only 9 high protein foods, and I promise 10, that's all I've got, because I'm kind of a picky eater, and I won't eat things that are too curdly, like cottage cheese, or squishy foods like beans. We already talked about fish. And edamame is pretty high in protein too, which I have eaten at restaurants, but I have no clue how to cook it, so I don't really eat edamame either. So yeah, that's my list. These are the foods I eat on repeat in my high protein diet, and I've had some pretty good success. Speaking of my success, if you want to learn how I put all of these foods together for an easy high protein plan that helped me lose 40 pounds last year, check out this video. I show you how I eat nachos anytime I want and still lose weight. So it's kind of important to watch.